Go ahead.
You ready for this?
Let's do it.
Okay. Mr. Filoni, with episodes 1 through 3, you piqued our curiosity. But with the last 30 seconds of that last episode, you have our attention. Enough of that. Okay, welcome to Beyond the Dune Sea, the place where, much like your Snoke theory, your Marok theory sucks.
Oof.
Ooh, I know. I'm Seth, and you are?
I'm Konnor.
You are Konnor, look at that. We're going to have fun. Tonight, we're going to talk about AHSOKA. That's going to be our new, and then we're going to journey through Star Wars Legends a little bit.
All
We're
right.
going to tiptoe through that if we have time for that. Then we'll do an artist spotlight. What do you want to talk about?
There's a lot to talk about
man.
out on the Dune Sea.
There is.
And beyond.
Yes, beyond that Dune Sea.
Let's get to it.
Yes.
That was something.
What about you?
Hey, that was better than what I had last week.
Well, okay. Well, there it is.
That was-
That's good. I got a little bit of confirmation. It was better than what happened last week.
I'd say mine was just a bad alliteration. You
Yeah.
just actually had some,
Soul?
some drama.
It's from Django.
I know.
Okay.
Some Christopher Waltz there, right? Is that
No, it's Leo.
That's Leo's.
Yeah,
line.
I
That's
wish
right.
I could do a Christoph Waltz. No,
Yeah.
I can just do a crappy Southern accent.
Yeah, no, that was good. That was funny.
Yeah. I mean, but let's be honest. With that last 30 seconds, you have our attention.
You know what? That last 30 seconds, honestly, I was taking notes while I was watching,
Oh.
and for me,
I did too.
Oh, you have a notepad.
I brought a notepad. I actually
Look at
took
him.
notes. Most of
Look.
the time, it's usually just here.
just up in the old noodle.
Yeah,
huh?
but
time
like
it's-
this time, I was like, I'm curious if I could fill a whole page, and I almost did, of just different thoughts that I had while watching it.
way too many notes.
Okay, all right,
but
okay.
even before, so as the episode was winding down,
Yeah.
I wrote down. This was before that last 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I was like, this was some of the best live action Star Wars I think we've gotten. I'm going to be bold here and say since the prequels. I really think this is.
Yeah,
Maybe it's recency bias. But
Yeah, it's
it
up
was-
there. Definitely. It is
But
up
then
there.
that 30 seconds hit.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man,
This is it.
here we are. And you know what? I just got to.
It's okay.
I started last week off
Yeah.
with my one word review. Last
Yeah.
week it was anticipation.
Yeah.
This week it's payoff.
Yeah.
It's payoff.
Payoff,
Because
baby.
that's what we were talking about. And this is, I don't want people to get lost in the sauce here because, I've already seen some opinions online that, and I see this every season of The
Anything.
Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, all of this. And to be fair, it didn't matter as much with Book of Boba Fett because there wasn't so much of an overarching story there. That's a
Yeah.
story for another day, obviously. But you don't get this kind of payoff without the buildup of the first three. It's part of the story. If they would have just dropped this episode, it's not as impactful. You don't get you don't have that satisfaction of watching these characters lose, really. And you don't have the satisfaction of watching the villains win and these character moments and these character beats progress because those first three episodes, that in total, hour and a half of just that slow burn that we kept talking about. Yes, the fuse is finally going off and it's going off nicely. And this was what we talked about. It was a little bit of a fear, but I'm very grateful our fears were unwarranted.
How long does that candle go? You know what I mean? Before finally,
And that is one thing I'll give this show. Like just as a show, the pacing is immaculate. I really like the pacing a lot.
Yes.
We had, like I said, the premiere was just really nicely paced to just introduce us to the characters, inciting incident right there at the end of episode 2, and then we're kind of right into rising action, and boom, here we go, and the explosion has started. These kind of and who knows where it's going to go? It's really, really exciting. I just, what can I say? I really like the pacing. I love the direction. Peter Ramsey, who directed this episode, what a brilliant job. Just on a filmmaking level, a lot of the filmmaking choices.
That shot of Sabine's helmet and they're fighting out of focus.
Yeah.
Give me that on a sandwich.
Here we go. It's the sandwich is back.
It's good. It looks
is.
awesome.
It is. And I wrote this down. One of my notes was that it's not Flash for the sake of Flash in this episode.
Yeah.
Everything had a purpose, and that's what I loved about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you and I, we actually just made a short film this summer.
Yeah.
And we went back and did some reshoots for the same purpose.
Yes.
Because we realized that like we had shot a scene that was Flash for the sake of Flash.
Yeah.
And ultimately fell flat. And so we went back and reworked it so that it had a purpose. There was an anchor.
It made it a little more fun.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
And it's way better that way.
It is.
Obviously we're not,
Yeah.
Dave Filoni, who's worked with the maker himself,
Yes.
and Peter Ramsey, obviously a very established director. He directed one of the better episodes of season 3 of Mando. Just brilliant stuff. I really like this episode a lot. So that's kind of my broad, and like that's not even mentioning the last 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Which
no, I thought it was great up until that. Even you know what I mean. I thought that was just kind of like, oh, I made you this delicious cake. I forgot to put some icing.
Yeah.
They just I mean, that's basically it.
Great way to say it, man.
Yes.
So I guess any kind of broad strokes you want to go over before we hit point by point here?
So this show, I think I've nailed it. This show reminds me of playing Arkham Asylum.
Okay.
In the sense that I watched Batman the Animated Series, I watched Justice League Unlimited, kind of kid stuff. I watched Rebels. I watched, Clone Wars, kind of kid stuff. But then you go and you play Arkham, it's all the same voice actors. It's loosely in that continuity because it's written by the same people, but it's a little more adult. And I think that that's how this feels, is that there's still a little bit of kid stuff. There's still a little bit of fun, but like the stakes are real. So I was thinking about that on the way here, as I was like, that's what this reminds me of.
I like that. I would agree with you like 90%. Only to say that I think that Rebels and Clone Wars have some very not kid stuff.
Oh, they do. But I'm talking about just the overall idea, because I feel like that still even the overall idea of this is more adult than what like.
Well, and I guess what I mean by that is not that it's not. Kid stuff doesn't necessarily mean that it's like a kid show. Like a kid show doesn't mean that it doesn't have darkness and it doesn't have tough themes. You know?
I mean, Batman the Animated Series still has tough themes.
So does other things. I get what you mean. It has that kind of
we're adults
levity,
now.
And this has that gravity.
Yeah, it's kind of like again with the jump to live action. That's what I'm saying. Is that like we grew up a little with the jump to live action, and so anyway, that's what I want to say.
And this show is finally doing what I hoped that they would do. And that was, I mean, since you and I have been friends, you've heard me talk about this, this marriage between the live action to the animation. And finally, with that last 30 seconds, especially with that last 30 seconds, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot more of that next week.
Snips.
Yeah, just that line, and also just seeing them together. I mean, it does a lot for like just to marry that in your mind, like, oh, these are the same guys. I've seen him before in the movies, and I've seen him in the animation. I've seen her in the animation. I've seen her in live action. Now we get to see them together, and it's just the connective tissues, and seeing Hera and the ghost and all of these things. It makes it a more connected universe, and like Star Wars was the original cinematic universe, in my opinion. And I think that this is really bringing those together, because there are a lot of people that there was a dissonance between the animation and the live action, and it's easy to do that. They're different mediums. As much as they can say they're in the same world, they are different mediums. And so now that they're kind of coming into the same, and I'm not saying that the animation is work. I love the animation. I love it.
I enjoy Bad Batch is actually my favorite of all the cartoons.
I love all three of them.
That I was going to say, if I had to pick one, and like the last season of Bad Batch, I was excited. I think I talked to you pretty much every single week where I was like, dude, I'm just loving this.
Yeah, it's good, man.
Yeah,
it's
no one
awesome.
talks about it, but I think it's good television. So I am, I'm not dogging. I hope you don't think that.
No,
I'm dogging
I don't
on animation.
So.
It's just a different
medium. I just
medium.
don't want anybody out there to think like, oh man, that's not just for kids. It's like, no, and that's not even an insult.
No,
even if it was just made for kids.
It's not.
Newsflash, people. Like Star Wars itself was a kid's movie.
It is. I was going to say, it's teaching you morals and stuff like that. It's for young audiences. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we'll kind of go point for point here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of opens up
Yeah.
with Ahsoka, Sabine chilling on the ship, right? And again, the quiet moments. I love the quiet moments of this show. I love that it starts with one with Sabine's really anxious. She can't find the cartridge that goes into her pistol.
Yeah.
Really fun stuff. And I love Ahsoka, not wanting to risk Thrawn's return at the expense of Ezra.
It's a very Jedi way of thinking.
Very Jedi way of thinking. Yeah.
It's really interesting. But would you say it's a very Ahsoka way of thinking? I thought that that really kind of threw me off when that first happened. I was like, man, that doesn't seem like her. Honestly,
no.
Yeah.
Here's
maybe she's grown up. That's kind of my.
I don't think so. Here's my thing with where I think Ahsoka is going.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? I want to save that.
Okay.
Because.
Okay.
All I'll say is because I had a little topic I want to do later about her arc.
Yeah.
Just to kind of pay it a little closer attention, but basically, I think that she is sort of putting her personality on the back burner.
Yeah.
And she is
keeping to the code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even think maybe to the code necessarily. She's almost contradictory to herself because she's not a Jedi, but she's following the Jedi teachings to a T, And, it's very interesting. She doesn't want to risk Thrawn. She's so traumatized by what happened.
Which I'm trying to remember. You just rewatched Rebels. How much did she interact with Thrawn?
Not at all.
Exactly. That's what I think is so strange, that she's so psyched out by him.
Well, I haven't rewatched. We're on the last season on our rewatch.
Yeah, but she shows up in the last couple episodes of Rebels.
And I don't know if she interacts with Thrawn.
I don't think she interacts with him hardly at all. Yeah, if at any. Yeah. I was thinking about.
She would know, right? Just because we don't see it.
Yeah, I know that she would know from hearsay.
I think it's more the risk of him returning the Empire to its former state. I think she sees the
that she could
volatility of the New Republic.
Yes. Yeah, in which they've done a good job of showing that. During this, I guess I love the setting of this episode.
Cetos, yeah.
Oh my gosh. You're just in the quiet woods with mist and ruins on your broken down ship. I'm just this just has that, this feeds that I like medieval fantasy, and it looks like medieval fantasy just in the future, you know. And my other thought is, apparently I guess I care about Huang.
He's cool, man.
I didn't. Yeah, I just this episode when he gets attacked. I just remember in the back of my head, I'm like, I hope he doesn't get hurt. And I'm just like, wow, I care about him. That's crazy. That I was I think that I've said it before. He is tiptoeing that line beautifully, where he's human enough, but not too human. You know what I mean? That he's still enough of a droid. I feel like the Disney Star Wars has trouble with that a little bit, where it's it's too human, and I just don't care anymore because it's just silly. But yeah, those were my main thoughts during this part.
I would say it's one thing one of the many things this episode does very well is there were some actual stakes here.
Building some tension.
In the back of my mind, I knew that nobody was actually going to die. We're halfway through the season.
Yeah.
But there were some moments where I'm like, Sabine, something going to happen to her?
Better watch out. Yeah.
Because the choreography was very good.
Yes.
Very good. And she got some hits.
Yeah.
And like I said, there were some moments. I was like, I don't know how she gets out of that one. I think does she lose a limb? Does she? I don't know. I really man, so good.
It is very odd to be. We'll get into that with the whole she is Mandalorian. Why are you getting your lightsaber out to fight her? Keep the distance, shoot missiles at her. It's just so silly, but whatever. I know that it's going against her teachings or whatever she's trying to do, but I'm be the Mandalorian Jedi hybrid that you are.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and talk about it. I know we chatted about this.
I know, but still.
I just watched the scene in Rebels.
Yeah.
And it's a great scene. It's one of my favorite scenes in Rebels. So Kanan is training Sabine with the Darksaber, and it has her and Ezra start sparring. And that's when Finn Rao gives her the gauntlets, and he's like, hey, take Bridger down a peg. It's a fun scene. And then while they're fighting, she does the vibro repulsor thing and sends him down. And Kanan gets upset.
Yeah.
And takes her side and has this great line where he says something like, history lesson, the Jedi won the war against Mandalore. And I think that's kind of what Sabine is remembering here. I have all these tricks as a Mandalorian, but ultimately she can still beat me with those things. I need to be good with this.
Yeah,
This is the way that I win.
Yeah.
Like my Mandalorian stuff is great against warriors and other Mandalorians and all these things, but against a Sith, against a Jedi, I know she's not a Sith, against a Jedi,
Force wielder.
a Force wielder.
Yeah.
I need to be good at this. And so I think she mixed it well.
Yeah.
But I think that she needs to, that was her struggle. She needed to really focus in on her Jedi training, which she's been pushing back against.
Yeah.
Very interesting to me.
Yeah. Do you want to just keep going through the episode?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I love that scene with Baylan and Morgan.
Yeah.
And then that delivery, man, experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
He fears her.
Does he though?
I think
he just
does.
knows what she's capable of. I think he just knows what the Force is capable of. And someone driven with the Force is, I think that's what he knows or what he fears.
I think what's brilliant about him, he's not arrogant. He knows what he is. He knows what he's about.
Yeah.
And to me, I think he understands Ahsoka well. Because he clearly knows about Anakin.
Yeah.
And he's like, she is not someone to mess with.
Exactly.
Like we do not underestimate her.
Yeah.
And I think he does fear her a little bit.
Gosh, I've been sleeping on this guy. I've not watched very many things with that actor in it.
Oh, Ray Stevenson.
Yeah, and
Rest
it
in
is
peace. Man,
it is sad because like I'm eating up every scene he's in. It is, and especially this episode.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
You know he's a Star Wars vet, right?
I didn't. What else is he in?
Plays Gar Saxon.
Does he?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Let me double check so I don't seem like
I now that you say that, I think that you are. I think you are right. I was gonna say I've just known him from like the Thor movies that he plays Volstagg.
Oh my gosh, he does, doesn't he?
And I like that, but I mean, like, there's not much meat to that. You know what I mean? That like he just. You know what I mean? That like, yeah, he's just a friendly dude in Thor. You know what I mean? And that's
I did not make that connection.
Yeah, and I like he played one of the Punishers. He's the Punisher in Punisher Warzone. But I'm like,
oh my gosh, he is. Wow, yeah, good call.
So like, I've seen him in stuff, but I'm like, I want to see him in more stuff because I mean, again, I'm eating up every scene he's in, and again, I'm loving that like you got the 4 villains, and they're all kind of at each other's throats a little bit, but still they're all working together for that common goal. That I'm just like, this is so cool. That I'm just like, this is good. Like I'm enjoying this.
That interaction between Shin and Baylan, it seems like Shin is like she's evil.
Yeah.
Like she is fully taken, but Baylan almost seems like a...
Oh, he's Dooku, man.
He's like a reluctant... Yes, he's a Dooku. He's a reluctant dark side.
Yeah, he's just like, I am doing this for the greater good or the greater cause, whatever it is. We're not sure. He's still being pretty vague about what exactly happens. That you reset everything, but then what do you really benefit
sure
that?
He wants the WBW now.
Yeah, I don't think he wants it either.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
Especially... now that we know that you can enter the WBW from anywhere.
Yeah.
Which also
maybe it's because she died. I don't know that would have. Yeah. It's interesting. So
oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, you're fine. I just did you notice too that like in the fight with those guards, I'm kind of. I don't know why I'm hopping over to this, but like Ahsoka was even kind of doing some dark side stuff where she dragged that dude. Well, she dragged that dude and like basically used a human shield to protect Sabine and her. And I'm like, that's not a very Jedi.
They were droids though, right?
Were those droids? I thought there were soldiers. There was the HK, and then there were soldiers with her.
I don't know. I didn't watch that. I thought those were all HKs.
No, I think that it was one HK that attacked Huang, and then the other guys were like soldiers. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But she definitely uses some dark side later.
Yes, she was. But anyway, I just, I don't know.
So, so back.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. So the other thing about that Baylan scene is it almost seemed like he was willing to sacrifice Shin and Marok, right?
Yeah, definitely. For the cause.
Yeah, because he was like, hey, Morgan mentions that, they're not going to delay them long. Like, but you guys will.
Yeah.
Implying that still going to delay them, but maybe not for too much longer.
Maybe not forever. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and ultimately, that's what he's doing. And that's what I like about that fight later on is that like he doesn't care about anything. He's just making sure to buy time for the machine. That's all he's doing is just buying time. He's not trying to kill her.
Yeah.
I don't think he wants to kill her.
No, I think he is trying to. I think if there was a way for him to maybe spare her, he would. But I think he's accepted that no, she's got to die.
This is how it has to happen.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah, I think it's really, really dumb that you bring your kid to the hyperspace rig on the Ghost.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's really silly, even though he has a really awesome line. But it's okay. So we got the armored...
What's his line? The line at the end?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Yeah, exactly. I think that is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I had that.
Again, he's got that good line.
Oh, I did. Man,
I just think it's silly to bring him.
This episode's just so dense. I'm just hopping all over the place.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm kind of trying to keep it. I'm going down my list. Which
I did forget one thing here, which is Ahsoka. I love this. Ahsoka being still traumatized by Anakin with the "sometimes we have to do what's right regardless of our personal feelings" line. Mm-hmm. Like she is still so
broken up about it.
Really, and it's tearing her up bad. And I really like that we're seeing this come through in her. But yeah, first time we see the Ghost, that was awesome. Obviously, Jason, hopping on the Ghost. Yeah. I mean, you could argue, where else is he going to go?
Keep him on home one at least.
Does Hera trust that? Does Hera trust?
What are they going to do to her kid?
I don't know. But they clearly are making bad choices.
Yes, they are. But still, I would just like taking your kid to,
they took Ezra everywhere, and he was like 15 or 14
I know,
there for
but
a little bit.
Still, they didn't care if really anything happened to him.
Yeah. Yes, they did. No, maybe not in the beginning. But,
yeah, exactly. But also, the sound design in the show is so stupid good.
Yeah, I was about to say, I thought you were going to leave it off with stupid.
No. The sound design is so stupid good. It's
excellent.
It's insane. Like this episode especially just sounded insane with like the different pulses and stuff like that. It's so good.
Yeah.
And the ships taking off and things like that. It's just
I love
good stuff.
the X-Wings flanking, by the way.
Yes. Yeah, they all kind of make and then shoot off together.
A little Carson Teva cameo. That was nice.
Yes.
It's more like connected tissue.
Yes. I wrote, I couldn't remember the character's name. I just wrote nice to see. And I'm like, I don't know his character's name.
Carson Teva.
Angry Appa.
Angry Appa, yeah,
exactly. That can't wait to
see. Collector.
I can't wait to see your Uncle Iroh. He's gonna be Uncle Iroh in Last Airbender. So I'm so pumped. Yeah,
nice. Good choice for that.
Yes, he has a kind spirit, and I'm excited. Yeah.
So we now we'll get to the. We're into the forest fight.
Yes, we're into the real forest fight. Yeah.
And the rusted armored elephant in the room.
Yes.
And I'll take a half win here.
Yeah, we talked about it.
We like half called this a little bit.
We kind of talked about it, yeah.
We kind of landed on ultimately that Marok would probably be a mini boss.
Yes, exactly.
A faceless mini boss.
Yes.
But we did sort of hint that he might be, we said maybe Kanan, but he would be a Night Sister.
Just some sort of reanimated corpse.
Yeah.
And I had talked, I don't know if I'd said it on here, I was like, he's like that one guy in Hellboy that that is just...
there's smoke inside a armor.
He's just sand inside a suit, basically. Yeah.
The only thing I'm still on with him that's weird, why give him an Inquisitor lightsaber? Is it just to throw the fans off? Like, is that it?
Or they took the husk, and then that's what, like, the...
Do they just take the Eighth Brothers, like, armor? Like, they just found that on Malachor and was like...
Maybe that's it. That they took the husk, and the lightsaber came with the husk.
It could be. Yeah. It could be, sure.
That's how I'm taking it. And I'm like, I don't really care. If he doesn't show up again, I thought he was cool for the 4 episodes he was in.
No, that's fine. I ultimately, this is kind of what I expected. It was fun to speculate.
It was.
But
and
I really thought at the end of the day he was just going to be a mini boss for exactly what we thought would happen.
He gets killed in the forest.
Ahsoka or Sabine would kill him.
Yeah.
And it would just serve as like a little win before a defeat.
Yep.
Or after a defeat. One of the two.
So what I do want to say about this real quick is, him spinning the lightsaber, and then Ahsoka brings that lightsaber above her head. She goes into Form 5. I get real nerdy about the lightsaber positions and stuff like that. Yeah. So I'm like, she's using Anakin's pose. And then what she do, she just caps him. Like, it's like, I don't even care about defense right now. And they do like the samurai.
Yeah.
And then that's it. It's like, it's over.
That. It was good.
I think it's well done. I think it was done right. And that's the whole thing is she's just like, I don't even care about defense. I've fought this thing 100 times. Even though it's in a different Inquisitor, she's fought against that style of lightsaber. Yeah, that she knows what she needs to do. And so she goes into all offense mode and kills him in one blow.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
It was awesome.
Love it.
And I loved the...
I watched it in slow-mo. Have you watched it in slow-mo? He deflates.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. He crumples.
I was going to say that he gets real thin and everything, so I don't think that there's anything left of him. Yeah.
I think that one thing about the choreography in this episode, by the way, very different than the choreo. I don't know if there's a different choreographer maybe from the first, like that first fight with Marok.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But
I did like how they, like in that first fight where they like work their way around the droid.
that was fun too.
Like,
yeah,
that's cool. Yeah.
I wasn't saying that was bad
Yeah.
or anything. But the fight in the forest and the fight with Baylan, very methodical.
Yeah.
And it felt very intentional.
Yeah.
And I really liked that. Channeling Nick Gillard from the prequels, he was the fight choreographer, which he may disagree with me here because I know he's been very opinionated about Disney era Star Wars choreography. But to hear
As he
him,
should, though.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
But to hear him talk, he put every action a character made had a character motivation behind it.
Literal fight science.
Yes.
Like, it's insane. If you get a chance, listen to him.
Listen to him.
Oh, it's so cool.
The Star Wars Time Show has a great interview with them. I know other outlets out there have done interviews, but I think Star Wars Time Show was the first guys to do a major interview with him, and it's a very good interview. A lot of really good,
Super cool. Yeah.
great stuff. A great alternate ending to the Obi-Wan and Anakin fight.
Yes.
Really awesome to listen to. But to me, it felt like that kind of spirit.
Yeah.
It felt kind of OT lightsaber fighting.
Well, again, it's the forms they were using.
Yeah.
And like,
Old school.
I do have a quick question.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on reverse grip?
I don't know that I have an opinion on it.
Really?
I think
You've never really thought about that? That like, if you...
what do you mean? What is your question?
Like, do you know
about
what I'm talking about? That like you,
I know
the
what
backhand. Like, so I've always felt like reverse grip is kind of like that like the Gambit, like the X-Men character, the Gambit of the Star Wars fighting styles, where it's like, oh, it's edgy and cool, just like me. And it's like, if I were a real Star Wars character, I would use that. And I like that she starts with that against him, and then she goes, you know what? Kid time's over. And then she flips into 4 and then goes to 5.
To me,
I just was like, good on you.
Yeah.
We're not being silly. We're not messing around.
To me, it seems like the reverse grip is more. Now, I'm not as into the forms.
Yeah.
So this is just
It's
as
just
a viewer.
Who are the main people that use a reverse grip? Her and Starkiller.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. Again, the edgy and cool characters that I'm just like, no.
Well, to me, it's quick. And I think that if you're going to be in a war against battle droids and you have 2 sabers, it's a quick, it's very fast.
Yeah.
But if you need to take your time against an opponent, then
silly.
let's change.
Yep.
Let's change to a different form. That's how I viewed it, especially with Baylan, where she's like, okay, this is kind of like samurai.
Yep, it is.
That was very cool.
Yes.
So before we get to the Baylan fight, more specifically talking about Sabine, man, when Shin throws her against the tree and her helmet flies off, very cool way. Not only was that cool, but there's always an issue in shows, in movies, with helmeted characters when you have an actor and you need to see their face.
I will admit, it was obnoxious in this episode.
You think so?
Dude, she took it off too much. Like, why not do the Iron Man HUD? Like, where you can see the T.
I can't do that in Star Wars.
Whatever. I just, like, again, she's taking it off left and right. There, at that one moment, that's fine, where it gets thrown off. But, like, other than that, I felt like, dude, when they first get attacked, that helmet needs to stay on, rather than, like...
Did it not?
No, because she took it off to talk to Huang, and then she put it back on. And it's like, no, like, you need to keep that on. Like, I mean, there are people attacking you.
Okay.
Yeah, that it's like... Come on, lady.
I think that's a nitpick.
Whatever. I mean, just no. That's gonna be the one thing I do kind of nitpick. I do want to. I know that you're I do want to say one more thing about Marok. I'm sorry to go back to that.
That's okay. Go ahead.
The whole we saw this mist come out of him. Mm-hmm. That's not the first time we've seen that though. When Darth Maul gets slashed, red comes out of him. Like it's like red mist comes out of him.
When Obi-Wan slashes him?
Yes. 100,000% yes.
Oh, well, in the same thing.
And then when Palpatine dies, there's like a hurricane. That may have just been whatever essence that is inside him. It's
when
not the
Savage Opress dies, almost the same green mist kind of happens. So.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying is like that it's like maybe that is his dark side essence leaving him or whatever,
Or just Night Sister magic.
It could. I assume that's what it is that Morgan brought him back using
especially given the Arthurian inspiration.
Exactly.
For the character.
Watch, there'll be a comic or a book about him and we'll get
Book of Marok.
Exactly. Can't wait.
On Disney Plus 2025.
Coming next summer.
Get these.
I mean, you could even also that she gets reanimated or reanimates him and then he becomes a Knight of Ren. I would even like that. That'd be cool. I'm just
be interesting.
Just I guess all of our theories just went up in smoke. Anyway, so
Oh my goodness.
whatever. I guess with Night Sisters, it's just all smoke and mirrors.
Well, that was the podcast, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you next week.
Whatever. Okay, fine. Sabine got thrown against a tree.
I thought it was cool.
It
that
was
was how she
cool.
got her. That was a very practical way to get her helmet off
Yes.
for the rest of the fight.
Yes.
So I
I
like
got
that
you.
a
And
lot.
I like that shot that I spoke about earlier where it's panning
the
across
pan.
and then you can see out of focus them fighting.
Yes. Very cool. Very
Good
cool.
stuff.
Very cool.
Yes.
So then the confrontation between Baylan and Ahsoka.
Fighting inside the map. How cool is that?
Well, before they fight even, their talk.
Yes.
So
all of that set piece of just them talking
Yes.
around the map.
But
Good stuff.
we got this dialogue in the trailer, but there's so much more added to it by seeing Baylan's face.
Yes.
He hates Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
You can see it in his face.
Do you think Anakin killed his Padawan? His first one?
That's an interesting idea.
I got $1 million.
I think
Yeah.
that, well, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I think
I could see that. That gives you reason to hate somebody.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think I ultimately, even if it's not so specific, I think he hates what happened to the Republic, to the Jedi Order.
And
But-
the manner it happened.
But he hates Anakin, and he also hates Ahsoka. I think partially.
Yeah.
I think he blames her,
Oh,
which
yeah.
reinforces Ahsoka's trauma too. That's what's so good about this interaction is that Ahsoka's carrying this deep burden.
Yeah.
And this guy, this fallen Jedi, just stabs her in the heart with it.
Yeah.
Like, no, yeah, you have the same path of death and destruction as your master did.
This is your fault.
Gosh,
Yeah.
it was good. Because this is the thing. I've seen some people online, they're like, I don't want a Force Ghost scene with Anakin because he's just suddenly a good guy now and there's all this trauma. It's like, that is not, I don't think that's Ahsoka's problem.
Yeah.
Ahsoka's problem is that she feels partially responsible. I mean, yes, there is going to be the weight of her master did all of these horrible things, but the problem is that she feels like she could have prevented it, and she didn't. And Baylan just digs it in, just twists the knife.
I mean, he's probably doing some psychological combat.
I don't
'cause-
think so.
You don't think so?
Well,
You
I
think
mean,
he's-
maybe. I'm sure he's using it to his advantage. but I
Yeah,
think
that's
he really
all I'm
believes
getting
it.
at. Is it's like, because Dooku liked to talk when
Yeah.
he fought. That
But
it was
just
yeah.
in his face, the performance, I think he believes that.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
he
I'm
knows
not being.
he's like, you suck. Like,
Yeah.
I'm here because of you.
Yeah.
And your master.
I'm fixing what happened.
Yeah, I think obviously he hates Anakin more, but he's like, you're just as bad.
Yeah.
Like, this is just as much you. Like Anakin was a rule breaker. You're just as much of one. You walked away from all of this, and we were all here left to pick up the pieces.
Yeah.
And I love that interaction. And Ahsoka being arrogant, also being like, I'm not here to talk about my past, or like, interesting. Like, he never mentioned you. She's being real snarky.
Yeah.
I liked that. It's the first little bit of that kind of old Ahsoka coming through.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's trying to push back against it. And then there's the fight.
Yes. I think that during this fight, I saw it look like Form 1, Form 4, maybe even Form 7 in there a little bit. But I just like this idea that just I'm not convinced that he wanted to kill her. I
don't think he wanted to.
Yeah, I
No.
think that it was just like he's just stalling for time, and he's just playing defense. And it reminded me of his fighting was like a mix between Count Dooku and Kylo Ren, where like
Very like hammer claymore.
yep, he's swinging hard for the fences like Kylo, but he's playing defense like Dooku. He's keeping her back and stuff, and he's keeping her backpedaling and things like that. And all he's doing is staying around that map. Because I just kept thinking that I'm like, why isn't she has 2 lightsabers? Why not just throw it at the map? But he does stay pretty close to the map.
Yeah, and there's several
Most of
shots where she's like trying, and he's like,
Yep.
nope.
Nope, not happening. Yeah. And then when he ends up destroying the map eventually, you know what I mean? That's even wild. So, yeah.
I loved them sizing each other up. Felt very Kenobi and Maul. Like that,
Yeah,
studying,
the
studying
switching
their forms,
Yes,
and like
again,
okay,
that-
so that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm going to do.
Again,
I'm gonna
I
change
think it's
forms.
wild because, like, granted, I've read the books, you know what I mean? The Jedi and Sith books and everything. And just looking at his hand motions, it looks like he's in form 1, which is just like a basic form. And it's like, maybe that's throwing her off, that it's like, why is he doing like just the kind of the catch-all form? Like, it's, and maybe he's doing that just to throw her off. And again, maybe that's where his strength comes into play, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna double hand this.
Yeah, I mean, that was Obi-Wan's one of his forms, right? That he used quite a bit.
Yeah, but like he was like, 3's his main one or whatever. Yeah, that he's ultimate defense. That, but still, just like just standard pose, that youngling pose. Yeah, it's wild.
It was a cool fight.
Yes.
I loved how motivated it was. I liked them actually using the Force too, like
throwing the rock, at her and stuff like that. Yeah,
I like it when they use the environment.
Yes,
there's some of that in the Force too, like cutting trees and whatnot. It felt very like, man, I was like
building a little bit of tension. Yes,
man, I'm really feeling for these guys.
Yeah,
and seeing Ahsoka so conflicted during the fight was really cool. And then the standout moment of the whole fight, Shin running in, and you see Ahsoka's whole facade that she's built up. Yeah. That we've seen her in live action, all this,
it crumbles.
It's gone.
Yep.
Because what a brilliant piece of directing that was. Because, Sabine in the Force slaps her with the Force, basically. Yeah. Sabine, or Shin, you have no power. Love that. Yeah. And then using a little Mandalorian trickery, then she runs. Yeah. All great stuff. And then just Shin showing up and Ahsoka, oh my gosh, she killed her. Yeah. And then Force choking Shin.
It throws her into a wall.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But that's such an Anakin reaction.
It was. It was awesome. Yes. And it reinforced Baylan. He was like, that's it. Yeah. That's all you know.
Yeah, you're no better than him.
Yeah. That's all you are. And he is such a hypocrite too, which is it's just so many layers to this scene. And then Sabine comes, and has the map. Even more brilliant there. That Baylan's just like, I know immediately you're not going to destroy that. So what does he do? He hits her anyway. Better term, he kills Ahsoka.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I think he did. Yeah.
Boom. Yeah, and then turns and expertly manipulates Sabine. Expertly. Yes, that scene is awesome. And by the filmmaking there, where he starts back and he slowly overcomes the screen. Like it starts with him in a place of. Like
small.
He's small. Yeah. But then as the scene goes, he's growing, large and you're looking up at him.
Yeah, because he's so much bigger than she is. Yeah. And you're looking. And I love that, turns off the lightsaber. He just walks up to her. It's like, give me the map.
And speaking of lightsaber, how inevitable.
Yeah.
Because all you know is violence.
Yeah. So it has to come to violence. We can't just sit here and talk it out. Because I think that he would, but granted, all he wants to do is waste time. Yeah. So I think that he would have loved.
And it's an interesting dichotomy because the first time we see him, what does he do? The first thing he does is ignite his lightsaber.
Start fighting.
We are no Jedi.
Yeah.
It kills a bunch of people. Yeah. By the way, I love how he deflects blaster bolts. Just barely moving, just whatever, Sabine. Yeah. You can be throwing your blaster bolts at me. Yeah. Just knock it off. Mm-hmm. And the little bit of tension there between Shin and Baylan. Yes. She force chokes him. He's like, hey, knock it off. Yeah. I'm a man of my word.
Yes.
Chill.
And again, that sound design. Yeah. That was cool. That's not 1970s sound design. I really liked, that there was some extra layers of stuff in there as she's getting choked. It sounded like her insides were getting churned up. This was much more than a force choke, basically. Yeah. Good stuff.
It makes you wonder what I bet there's going to be a falling out between these two characters later. Shin and
I'm
Baylan.
sure. I am sure.
But I'm kind of back on what is Baylan's deal.
I know. I want to know this backstory because it's cool.
The mystery is awesome.
Yes, that's the true mystery. We're all hung up on Marok. Yeah. Yeah, but
I think it's because we knew Marok was done. Yeah. And it was fun. It was fun to speculate, but Baylan really, he really is the meat here. Yeah. And he has been the meat from episode 1. Yeah. And it's like this guy, I think we're inching closer. I think you might be really close to something, but Anakin might have killed his Padawan. Yeah. And maybe he wants revenge on that by I'm going to kill Anakin's Padawan. Mm-hmm. Maybe. I still am not sure he's so personal with Ahsoka. Yeah. But I still don't see his end goal here with Thrawn. Yeah. Because there was a little more dialogue here where he does want Thrawn here. I thought that was more a side effect of wanting to get to the WBW, but no, he wants Thrawn to come here and
reset everything.
And reset the galaxy. Yeah. So there's clearly some more. something else.
Yeah. But that's what's good.
Yeah.
More mystery. Yeah.
And that's what's so great about the show. They give and give, and then they just a little tease.
Yep.
Little tease.
I will admit, I was screaming at the TV, you better destroy that map. Like, I was so mad that, like, why?
Baylan?
No, to Sabine. When she had it, I'm like, shoot it. Just shoot it. Like, there's, like, I know you want to see your boyfriend thing, that, but still, like, you need, like, it's for the best. And I'm like, of course she didn't break it. Like,
but this is another one of my favorite critique lines. Character flaws are not writing flaws.
I know.
She cares a lot.
I know she does.
And that was
but I'm just kind of like, everybody's saying destroy it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even Baylan say you should have destroyed it.
But that's also, in Rebels, Sabine is always the infiltrator.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I think that in her mind, she's like, you know what? I can still get there. Like, Ahsoka's gone. It's just me. I can go with them and I can find a way. Once I find Ezra, we'll figure it out together.
We'll get our way back. Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
I'll leave them there. Yeah. Something like that.
And I think that's what's going on in her mind because I'm sure in her mind, she's like, if I destroy this, there's no way.
Yeah.
But there's a chance that we still come out on top if we still go.
Yeah.
And that's still
just left up that she'd be willing to, like, that Ahsoka had to fall in order for this plan to work. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's intense.
It's
yes.
And then the hyperspace ring. I love Morgan's arrogance. Like, we don't need to worry about them.
Yeah.
Let us go.
But they don't. And I think, oh man, this is so cool with, like, because I'm not a huge fan of the Holdo maneuver, because of just what it does for the rest of Star Wars. Because it's like, well, why didn't they just do that with the Death Star?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. But I like that this is a ring. Mm-hmm. And so they don't fly through them, they fly around them, and then that just jacks all of them up except for like 3 of them. Yeah. In which I assume that, Angry Appa's still on the...
he was still around. Yeah,
I'm sure he's still around, but I was like, how fun is that?
It was
like,
very
how cool is that?
And I love the trail that it left. It was very erratic.
Yes, and then, like, just all the, all their... The ships are literally in pieces because literally time and space bent around them as they did that. Mm-hmm. And then Mom... I've got a bad feeling, which I just was like, dude, that's good use of a legacy Star Wars line, but at the same time, like, just having the right character say it.
Honestly, the episode could have ended right there for me.
Yeah,
as much as I love the rest, it could have ended right.
That would have been awesome. Just because, again, there's hints this kid's Force sensitive, so
I mean, he is 100%. Yeah, but so a couple other points on the fight.
Yeah.
We had a fear kind of in the beginning of the first couple episodes about how Filoni would treat Ahsoka.
Yeah.
If we would have a problem of...
She does everything.
He wasn't going to allow her to lose.
Be humbled, yeah.
And she did. I loved seeing her getting tossed.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, just from a narrative point of view, seeing our hero get just hit and pushed down. And I made a point about this. There is a difference between active failure and passive failure. So like in storytelling, it'd be like, so for example, Hera, even in this story, she had a passive failure. She got there too late.
Yeah.
It was not her actions, like, she had a passive failure. Ahsoka and Sabine actively failed. They tried to stop them.
Trying to thwart them, and
they couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. That is powerful stuff to watch. That is why Empire Strikes Back is so powerful, because the heroes try. Luke Skywalker tries to stop Darth Vader, and he fails. Han Solo gets trapped in carbonite. Mm-hmm. The heroes are scattered. It is so good.
Leia tries to save Han.
Yeah, and it doesn't work.
No.
And this is a problem we've seen in some of past Star Wars media, where we don't get to see our heroes fail like this. And now, I mean, it's inevitable. They're going to get their win.
Yeah.
That's just storytelling. And that's not a surprise, not a spoiler here.
Yeah.
But now when they do, it's going to be so much sweeter.
It'll feel earned.
Because they will have gone through this loss to get there. And it's going to feel so much better. And just... it's such a bold choice, and it can be difficult. And I was worried that Filoni, because Ahsoka's his baby, and you don't want to hurt your babies like that. You don't want to have some random guy throw her around like a rag doll. But he did, and he committed to it. And you know what? Bravo to him. bravo to him for committing to that and letting her get humbled and tossed around and thrown off a cliff. Good for, because it wasn't just like some passive thing where she accidentally fell or whatever.
I was kind of scared with the whole her touching it and her hand getting burned. I'm like, oh no, is this going to be like the thing where like, oh, if she hadn't have burned her hand, then she would have been able to beat him or whatever. But no, I think that like
she lost. Yeah, and that is so important for the growth of her character. And just that's
she
another
got
reason
humbled. We've been saying that she needs to be humbled.
And the bad guys won.
Yes,
they win.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. This is another great movie of the past 10 years. Infinity War. They lose.
I told some people, so I don't work with anybody that likes Star Wars, and I was trying to explain to them that I was like, guys, last night I saw it felt like watching it. We're in the end game now, Tony.
Yes.
Like it felt like that again, where I was like, dang, like Sabine's gone. Ahsoka's probably dead. There's all those like. The Republic doesn't even want to help them. It's pretty bleak.
Yeah.
Yeah. That it's like, I'm liking this. I am liking where we're at. Yeah.
It's bold. And it takes some guts to do some stuff like that.
Yeah.
It really does. But good for them for doing it. And it's so nice. I cannot wait.
Exciting.
And of course, man. Then they gave us the little bit. And we were sitting there. We were watching.
Yeah.
And they cut to the Huang because I really thought after Mom, I've got a bad feeling it was good. That was it.
Yeah.
And I would have been happy.
Yeah.
But then they cut to Huang and I'm like, okay, we've got something else. I'm like, they're not going to end here. This is a weird place to end.
Yeah.
But then they show the ruins.
Yeah.
And I'm
the
like,
water.
I'm like, are they going to do it? Are they going to do it here?
Yeah.
Right now?
Really?
Are they doing
I
this?
hadn't even been thinking about that. I was just kind of like, I looked at my wife and I'm like, you think she's like laying on a rock or something like that? Like that was kind of and then like, you see she's laying. I'm like, why is she so big? With that last shot. And then I'm like...
That was a great transition.
Yes, but I was just kind of like, it doesn't look like water.
Yeah.
What is she on? And then where was your thought? As soon as she sat up, I'm like, oh crap, she's there. I'm like, is she dead? Then like...
As soon as she gets tossed off the cliff, I just thought it was going to be the next episode.
Yeah.
I knew the person who would reach out to her would be her master.
Yeah.
But the fact that they gave us that nugget here and that she wakes up in the WBW, that was a surprise. The transition was excellent.
Yes.
I expected, in my mind, what I expected them to do was pan over and you see her kind of falling throughout the water.
Yeah.
And then a voice called out to her. I thought that was all we were going to get now. Still a next episode, but I thought that was it. But no, she stands up and then the first thing we hear, enough to make a grown man cry, is hello, Snips.
Yeah.
And then turns and it's Anakin. And there's so much to dissect about this scene, but the first thing you see as soon as that line is uttered, Rosario's performance, she snaps into that 14-year-old Padawan.
Yeah.
Like immediately, master, and turns Anakin.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What a scene.
It's crazy. This was so short. This felt better than anything I saw in Kenobi, personally. I don't know how you feel about that. How do you feel about that? I'll put you on the spot.
I love Kenobi a lot.
I know you do.
This show, I think...
If it keeps on its trajectory...
It'll be better, I think.
I was going to say, I think Mando Season 2, at least right now, I still like it more. But like, if this keeps on the trajectory it's on, it'll take the number one spot. Easy for me.
I've always loved the mysticism of Star Wars the most. Mm-hmm. I love the galactic stuff. I like the Mandalorian stuff. All of it's cool. But to me, the mysticism, the Jedi, the Sith, that kind of stuff that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
And this show is that to its core. And so I love it. It's new. To me, the Obi-Wan show was sort of that gap that needed to be filled for me. Was it a story that really needed to be told? Maybe not.
That's what hurts me with it.
To me, I don't think it's a story that didn't not need to be told. Like some people think. Some people go crazy and say it breaks canon. I'm not one of those people, and I don't agree with that at all. I really like the Kenobi show a lot. The duel and everything. I love it. I love it. I love it. But it's kind of extra. It's like extracurricular material. This feels like essential Star Wars right now.
Yeah.
And this moment was so I'm going to make a comparison here.
Okay.
This moment was not Mando Season 2 Luke Skywalker. Here's what I mean by that. When that scene aired, it's one of my most cherished Star Wars memories. It has somewhat been diluted by the fact that Grogu was immediately returned to Mando. Because, to me, the story needed Luke Skywalker in that moment because they needed to take Grogu for this training. It had a narrative purpose. It wasn't fan service. It was a narrative purpose. And they were able... now, sure, can you sprinkle a little fan service in there? Can you let Luke do a little... crush some dark troopers and stuff? You absolutely have some fun with it. But it had a narrative purpose at the end of the day. And that narrative purpose has been pretty diluted, unfortunately, by the fact that Grogu was immediately returned. And now... let's say Luke never returns to the Mandoverse. I'm left with what really was the purpose in him being in the show. It was cool. I'm glad they did it. But was it really just fan service? Now, again, that's not a dirty word to me. I think that I still really liked it. This scene in Ahsoka is not that. This scene in Ahsoka, Anakin is such an important piece to her arc and to her overcoming this piece in her journey, her trauma. This scene not only is a necessary part of her journey, but it also is a necessary part, I think, for the Star Wars fans' journey, for that, like we mentioned earlier, that marriage between the live action and the animation. And so to me, these scenes, while they may have, in a sort of guttural way, the same reaction, this kind of like, oh my gosh, it's him. How are they doing it? This is crazy. It's not the same. It's not the same moment. And it feels, like I said, like essential Star Wars. It feels like this is part of the history. Whereas Luke killing a bunch of dark troopers on the Imperial cruiser, if you left that out of the story, we could live. We could get past it. We could watch the whole story and be none the wiser. But yeah, this scene, man, it just there's a lot to it I want to talk about.
Yeah. Okay. What do you want to talk about?
Is there anything I don't want to?
Oh, I guess all I want to say is you heard that quote from a while back that Dave Filoni said that Anakin Skywalker is the most important Jedi. Well,
greatest Jedi.
So I'm hoping that with this and then the next episode, we get that that solidity of that quote by him, that it's okay, he truly is the greatest Jedi, even in death.
Yeah.
He truly is the greatest Jedi. And I'm just excited for that. And it's no secret. I mean, Anakin's my favorite Jedi. I do have a lot of love for Obi-Wan too, and Kit Fisto. But
so Anakin's mine. Sometimes it flips to Luke, but they are neck and neck. Yeah. And so right now it's Anakin because he's
that I was it was pretty cool to see him, that I was just kind of no way when he Now I got a couple rapid fire things to give before we get too deep into this. That I just want to touch on. One, a lot of speculation that this is not Anakin. We talked about this.
It's maybe the son.
I said that. I didn't even read that. I just thought that. Yeah. I'm like, what if it's the son up to his old tricks?
It may be Lord Vader.
Yeah, I could see that too.
It's something different. I say no, and here's why. First of all, I think most of the time it's just better to err on the side of the simplest answer is likely the most obvious. Here's why I think some caution was maybe deserved. He's wearing his ROTS outfit with his mechanical arm, which I think is weird if he's a Force Ghost. Why would he have a mechanical arm as a Force Ghost? Now, I think it's probably how she avenges. That's the last time she saw him that's how he looked. Like in the Siege of Mandalore arc, when they leave, that's how he looks.
Yeah.
So that probably is the answer. I don't think it's the son because I think that's just too deep a cut.
Yeah.
And also, Disney put out a bunch of essential viewing for Rebels and Clone Wars episodes before the show.
Mortis trilogy wasn't
Mortis arc was not on there.
Yeah.
I don't think that I don't think that they would do that.
Yeah.
Here's the other big one. The other big one. I don't think they would just flip a really special reveal like this because think about this. not only is this is the first time in live action these characters have met, the first time. And the first thing he says to her is, "Hello, Snips." They're not going to then immediately turn around and be like, "Ha, it's not really Anakin." I don't think Filoni does that. Now, I don't think that everything's totally right. Is he Lord Vader? I don't think so. There's been a lot of people like, he's got Vader's lightsaber hilt. No, it's just the chrome of the lightsaber was reflecting his outfit and it looked a little darker. If you zoom in, it's his regular lightsaber. I think he's just Anakin post Return of the Jedi, just after his death. I don't think he's Lord Vader, because I think that's you're getting into some really weird territory where when did he enter the WBW then? Did he enter there sometime after he was anointed Darth Vader and then entered the WBW before confronting Obi-Wan? I think that's weird. I don't think that that's going to happen. I think that literally his purpose, which I'll get into deep in a minute, but I think his purpose is just to say, hey, I'm going to guide you through your trauma here and show you why it's not your fault. And this is just the form that she remembered him as.
So.
All right, counterpoint.
Do you remember the concept art from Force Awakens,
yes.
where he's like where his spirit is at war with itself? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a cool idea, but it doesn't make sense in the lore for Star Wars.
But it would be really interesting if it worked like that in the WBW.
I think that they could do something with that in a way like, so for example, to go back to that training sequence with Kanan, when he's training Sabine, he actually goes into this like tirade with like, it's your fault that your people died and all this stuff. And it's just to draw out the truth out of her.
Yeah.
He doesn't mean anything that he's saying. And so I could see Anakin doing something similar.
Yeah.
Where he's sort of phasing into Vader.
Yeah.
Not because he's struggling with his identity, but as a way to be like, Ahsoka, you need to understand, pulling the truth out of her to accept the fact, about what's happened.
Yeah. I like that imagery. It would be really interesting to see that.
The imagery is cool.
Because... And then, like, when it cuts to black, you hear the Imperial
theme.
Yeah, you hear the Imperial March.
I know, and that's the other big.
It's so like that's the hanging thread. I feel like because I'm with you, like 95%. But then there's that 5% where I'm like, because I trust music. That's the only thing. I know it's not John Williams, but I think that like.
No, it's intentional. It's a choice.
I was gonna say I trust soundtracks a lot, so I'm just kind of like. I think there's a little bit more to it. And I know, like, I think the sister's always been with Ahsoka. Yeah. And so that's what makes me kind of wonder that I could maybe believe, and we know Sam Witwer is involved in this maybe even more than just like the, hearing Darth Maul when she's moving rocks or Marok speaking twice, that I could see... somehow it is the brother that maybe not you see the brother, but you get that imagery of the bat that like you like how occasionally the bird is always with Ahsoka.
I can see some other forces definitely being at work, but I think the person we see is Anakin.
Is Anakin Skywalker.
And here's my other thought about, because people were like, well, why doesn't he look like a Force ghost? I don't
think so in the World Between Worlds.
Yeah, I think that's where Force ghosts live. Here's my big theory. I think the reason why they're blue is like that's always where they're communicating from.
Yeah, that's like that's them communicating in our world.
Yeah, because the World Between Worlds is literally the world between, like it doesn't exist out of time.
Yeah.
But people get that wrong a lot. They think it's just like a time machine or something.
It's not really. Yeah, it's like you can see, fracture points, for lack of a better term.
Filoni literally created it to save Ahsoka.
Yeah, I know that
like he
did.
created it because he knew that
he rode himself into a hole and he wanted her back.
And that's cool. Yeah. And by the way, I don't say that as a negative. I really like it when writers do that. When writers write themselves into a corner and then have to come up with a creative way to get out of that corner. I think it's really cool. It's a great device to have in your tool belt. And yeah, he said that like Vader was going to kill her. I didn't know a way to. This was the way to get her out. And so it creates a really interesting thing. And I think kind of going into, I guess, this discussion of Ahsoka's arc up until this point, if you're ready to get into that.
Sure.
So it's been clear since Rebels that like Ahsoka carries very heavy guilt. We've been talking about this today. About what happened to the Jedi and what happened to Anakin. There's a lot of great scenes in Rebels with this. And her scene in The Mandalorian. One episode, she brings it up. And
seem what the best.
Yeah. In the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah,
like,
what can happen to the best of us. Yeah.
She carries this with her. And there's still the question of where was she during the original trilogy, which I think is an interesting question. And it's becoming more and more clear that she carries this deep emotional weight. And there's been some, I know, criticism about her stoicism. And it's becoming more clear to me that this is intentional, because we see a lot of emotion come out in her in the last about 10 minutes of this episode when she thinks that Sabine is dead. And
she's putting up walls.
She's put up this massive wall.
Yeah.
And I think that what we're seeing here is that she's petrified to form attachments, to train Sabine and have any emotion at all, really. And Anakin appearing to her now is going to give her the chance to move on and become the Jedi that she's going to be. And I really think that what's going to happen next episode is Anakin's going to show her, like, hey, all of this stuff that happened, let me show you.
Is it the clip episode? Is that what you're trying to say? It's a clip show?
I think literally he's going to say, let me show you what would happen if you were here.
Yeah.
And it turns out the same.
That
and
the
also
Force would find a way.
And this will also have a bit of a meta purpose because people want like a multiverse kind of idea with Star Wars. And it will also show like multiverse is not possible in Star Wars. There's one timeline, that's it.
Because the Force makes it that way.
Because it's the will of the Force. And Anakin will show like my fall was the will of the Force. And here's another, what I think would be a beautiful moment. We're talking about Obi-Wan a minute ago. There's a moment in the Obi-Wan show that I've never seen anybody make this point. But it's when they're having their conversation at the end, very emotional. You know, and he says, you know, I'm not your failure, Obi-Wan. You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did. Awesome line. To me, that's always been it has a double meaning. To me, because he has tears in his eyes when he says it. And to me, I think that there's a bit of Anakin Skywalker there that is absolving Obi-Wan of his guilt. I think there's a large part of Anakin, Darth Vader, telling Obi-Wan, like, nah, you didn't kill Anakin. You couldn't. I did. I did that. But I think there's a part of the brother of Anakin Skywalker there that's telling Obi-Wan, like, hey, man, this mess, it's not your fault, dude. Like, I did this to me. And I think it's a really beautiful moment. And it's not a one or the other. I don't think it's mutually exclusive. I think that it's a very layered line that he's struggling through this, because I think that he does still have a love in a lot of ways for Obi-Wan. And he tells him this, like, it's not your fault, okay? I did this, and I got to live with it. But also, I still really hate you, and I'm going to destroy you because of what you the physical part of what you did to me. But as far as the rest of it, I did it. So you can stop wallowing in your self-pity. You know, there's that little bit of compassion. And I think that in an almost mirror type way, Anakin is going to do the same to Ahsoka, saying like, hey, you didn't do this to me. I am the one who did this to me. All of you guys out there, like, the only person who's at fault for my action is me, and maybe Palpatine is the only other one who's got, you know, some price to pay.
Yeah.
And I think that that's going to be really important for her. And I think that this is her fighting the Balrog episode. Ahsoka. Filoni has made a lot of comparisons to her and Gandalf. She literally fell. She fell off the cliff. This was her Khazad-dûm moment. And she will emerge back as Ahsoka the White. There's actually one... I thought that the only thing we haven't seen from the trailers is the shot of Thrawn. There's one more. It's the shot of Hera in the ruins.
At that place. So that's going to be the next episode. Yeah.
I think she sees Ahsoka rising. Either it's next episode at the very end, or it's the beginning of 6, maybe. Because I think the next episode is probably going to be the bulk. You know, is going to be spent with Anakin, as we're cutting between him and, you know, some of the other guys, what they're doing. But Ahsoka finally rising as Ahsoka the White, you know, as the one last lesson from Master Skywalker. she gets to go forth, and now she's ready to take on the challenges of being a Jedi. And I think she'd finally be ready to embrace being a Jedi again, because she's trying to toe the line. And here's another big thing. She's very gray Jedi like right now. George did not like that idea. He did not like the idea of gray Jedi. And I think that it's sort of a...
Me neither.
Yeah,
that's that edgy kid. That's that edgy kid that uses reverse grip. And that's the whole thing.
And I think that we're seeing that in the character, where she can't be that. She can't walk the middle, and she has to choose. And now she's going to go back to the light as Ahsoka the White.
The world needs a hero.
Yeah.
It's tough to be a hero when you're gray.
Yeah. And she'll come back, and she'll be the master that Sabine needs, learning from her master, the one last lesson. And it's going to be easy. Like next week, I know is going to be an emotion-packed episode, but it's also going to be so narrative-driven. And I know we're going to see the comments now of the fan service and all this. It's not fan service, people. It's part of the story, and I can't wait for it. Yeah. I really can't. I mean, next week can't come fast enough. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that of Ahsoka the White?
I hold Gandalf very dear, so I just hope that they don't make her too much like him, if that makes sense. That like it's almost parody at that point, that he just gets so out of control. That's my only thought, but I agree completely. I guess I can talk about this because I mean, like, how you always hear that about that one thing that happens, like for Book of Boba Fett, like the one piece of thing they kept saying was like he's gonna ride a Rancor, like that was at the very beginning that was said. That it's, like for this, it was that, well, Ahsoka's going to face Anakin on Mustafar. Like I heard that right at the beginning of all this. And I think that has to happen in this episode. Yeah. Somehow, some way we're going to see that. And with the, World Between Worlds, we have the ability to see that. I'm sure that it can show that. So I could see it being kind of fan servicey, but at the same time, the first 4 episodes have been handled with so much care. I don't know why season 5 it would not be handled with care. So, again, I hope that I've always felt like Ahsoka is a very strong and powerful character. I'm afraid of what a completely focused Ahsoka turns into. Like, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. That I don't want her to become too crazy. That's my only fear. That she didn't have very many weaknesses before. And if she's purging what little weakness she has in her now, like what stops her? Yeah. Basically. So that's my only fear.
It'd be interesting to see where they take the character next, because then it's the issue of Thrawn and then we talked about this last week, then we still have a Skywalker problem.
It's true.
And if you have Ahsoka, it almost seems like they're gearing up to have Ahsoka take Luke's place in the story.
I doubt it.
I don't love that.
I
really think they are. I don't think that Luke will not have a place at all, but at least if you look at the template, if Heir of the Empire is the template, I think that Ahsoka is gearing up to take Luke's place in that template.
Maybe.
We'll see. But
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But just as far as Anakin goes here,
I'm stoked.
He also looked great. I'm getting sick of these comments too, man. It
was odd to see him smile.
I know.
You know what I mean? That was another thing that I thought was weird.
He had the same expression as like that scene when he leans up against the wall. I know. Padme.
Yeah.
But we had in the Obi-Wan flashback. Oh, elderly Anakin here fighting Obi-Wan, and then you have this episode where they do a little.
They clean up his face,
and then I kept seeing the smooth Yoda meme. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yes.
Meme. Like Ahsoka spoilers without context. I'm like, shut up.
Yeah.
Can you not just watch the show and just enjoy it?
Yeah.
Like, why did the amount of stuff like this that I am now aware of, I see it all the time now.
Just let them be angry.
I know. Fine. I know. I really
don't even worry about it.
Should.
You shouldn't even let it bother you, because
I know.
If you're having a good, I say this a lot, that if I'm having a good time, I can let a lot slide.
Yeah,
a lot.
I know.
Slide.
I really
and
should.
You know what?
I really should.
I'm having a good time, so I'm letting a lot slide in this.
I'm bad about that. I sometimes will I'll be like, dude, this was good. This was me all through Obi-Wan because I was like,
you were all like, this is
I'd
awesome.
watch an episode and I'm like, this was awesome. And then I'd go on social media and everybody's like, this was the worst. Star Wars is mid. Sell it back to George. This was terrible.
I hate to say it. I was one of those guys.
I know you were. It was awful.
No, well, I mean, Kenobi starts good. It's like a weird sandwich. That is like Kenobi
Here we are
starts
with
good.
The sandwiches again. What is up with you with
I
sandwiches?
don't know. Maybe I just like sandwiches. But it's it starts really good. It ends really good, but in the middle it's just kind of odd.
You know, one of these days we'll have to do a deep dive on Kenobi because
sure. I hope someday. I hope someday that you and I can just go back and watch all of it. Like we'll just do like episode reviews of everything, and you can just be like, "This is amazing," and I can be like, "This is bull."
And you know, I don't like. I have a lot of critique for a lot of Disney Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah. But Obi-Wan, don't get me wrong, it's not perfect.
It's all right. You like it.
It's not perfect,
fine.
But
it's fine.
There's a lot to love for me.
That's what's cool about all this. I'll get on my soapbox for a second. Is that like my wife? She has a little 5 tattooed on her. Clone Wars is her favorite Star Wars. When we met, she hadn't even watched all the movies. I don't even have a Star Wars tattoo. But when we finished that, she was so moved to get a tattoo for that character. That's wild to me.
Yeah.
That like that's her Star Wars, and I'm really happy for her that that's her Star Wars. That's not my Star Wars, but there's Star Wars for everybody, and I think that's super cool. And that Star Wars is constantly you got your OT kids, then you got your prequel kids, and then you got your kids who have the sequel trilogy, and then you have Clone Wars literally in there, where like it's just Star Wars is for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Yeah, and you know what?
Yeah.
Don't let anybody tell you different. Everybody's got their Star Wars.
It is true, and I think that that's neat. And yeah, I just there's my soapbox.
Yeah,
there's my soapbox. Sorry, I'm off it now.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
No, this is. So the last thing really here is, how does she come out of this?
Well, she's found a way out before. I'm sure she'll find a way out again.
Well, no, she was sent back to the same moment. I should.
Or did she die?
Well, hold on. Let me clarify my question.
Exactly.
I think that's possible, but my question is not that. My question is, how does she get to the other galaxy? Or does
Why couldn't he dump her there?
That's what I think.
That's what I assume is going to happen too. Is that she's going to step off the?
Is she just going to step off in the Chimera?
Yes,
is that what she's going to be?
The Chimera or the AHSOKA. That she'll just walk onto the
That's interesting.
I think that, and she'll probably say that line that Shin told her earlier, like going somewhere. That like I could see that as a nice callback.
I don't know that I would. It would make sense for the AHSOKA or not the AHSOKA, the Chimera with the world between worlds there.
Yeah,
because I mean, if you're
they
dead,
have an access
if you're
point.
dead,
Yeah,
then you could theoretically enter from anywhere.
Yes, exactly.
But for the living, they have to have an access point, and might as well be that.
It's on the Chimera.
It's on the Chimera, so fine.
That works too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what an episode, man.
It's fun.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was an awesome episode.
Yeah.
And next week is just going to be, it's going to be unreal.
Yeah.
It's going to be unreal.
Yeah.
It's going to, you know what, just as a final note, I'm so glad that Hayden is getting his day. I was always a Hayden fan. I know that I kind of grew up with those, but Hayden was my guy. It's just great. Yeah, yeah. I'm so glad that he's getting.
I was in high school
spotlight.
when Revenge of the Sith came out, and I wanted to grow my hair out.
Yeah, I also
my mom
wanted to grow
went,
mine out. My mom wouldn't let me.
My mom finally let me.
Yeah,
and she was just like, you do kind of look like you got that look, and she was like, it's not a bad look. I think you should keep it. And so I was like, cool.
Yeah.
So the character, the actor, it all means a lot to me.
Yeah,
so,
me too.
Yeah.
Hayden's
So it's neat.
I've always had a soft spot for him, and just actors who, because at the end of the day, it's not, even if they do deliver a bad performance or whatever, it's they're still a human being, and
yeah,
it always annoys me. All these guys, and there's unfortunately a legacy of this in Star Wars with like Moses Ingram and Kelly Marie Tran and Hayden Christensen. So a lot of the other prequel actors too, and of course Ahmed Best.
Yeah,
and to see him get his spotlight too was great. Yeah. But yeah, to see Hayden just get the outpouring of support, really cool. I'm sure that next week is going to be just an onslaught of applause, and I can't wait for it. And you know what? It's cool that he gets to be a character and not just a, hey, and then see ya.
Yep. That's what I'm excited about, is to actually, let him, I don't think that there's moments in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, where he got to do his thing, but I'm like...
I think he gets to do his thing a lot in Revenge of the Sith.
I more so in that movie, but I feel like I'm really excited to see him like sink his teeth into something. Yeah. You know what I mean? That I think that, again, the acting picks up when he becomes evil. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just excited to, see that, a different side. I want to see the good Anakin.
Yeah. Me too.
And not a conflicted Anakin. Not a, oh man, I'm not sure if I should be doing this, and like my wife might die and whatever, and like should I be cutting off Count Dooku's head?
But in a way, like a full potential Anakin.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like just a I don't know, a beacon of light, beacon of hope. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So, all right. Well, we went a little long, so I think we should jump right to the artist spotlight this week.
Okay.
Save the EU talk for next week.
Okay. We'll save the EU talk for next week.
Save
That's
it for
okay.
next week.
That's okay.
So for the artist spotlight, I want to shout out my friends Matt and Nick from the Star Wars Time Show. I talked about them a little bit earlier with that Nick Gillard interview.
It's worth your time.
They gave us a little shout out on their show the other day, but I just wanted to talk about them because they were a partial influence for this show, and this segment in particular. They do a top 5 feature, and they featured my work quite a few times, and I think that and when I got started with and your work,
I was going to say I've been shared, so thank you for that. That's awesome.
But it was actually, I wanted to tell just a little anecdote. My second photo I ever posted to my page, it was this little shot of Grogu like levitating a frog, and Mando is behind him like choking out a stormtrooper. My second picture I ever did, I copied a bunch of hashtags from another photographer, and it got featured on their page, and I like blew my mind. I was like, this is my second picture ever, and somebody thought it was good enough to put it on their page. I couldn't believe it. And then I checked their show out, and hey, these guys are a little rough around the edges, all right, but they're genuine guys, and they're really good people. And if you like Star Wars, you'll enjoy their content. And they're a little tongue in cheek with their reference to us and their video. And I got a kick out of it. But we aren't just a Star Wars podcast. So after we move on from Star Wars, and you're craving some more Star Wars, head over to their podcast. But I will say that there can be more than one Star Wars podcast out there, but no more than 2, because only 2 there are. No more. No less. So if you aren't Beyond the Dune Sea or the SWTS, then we ain't listening. I'm kidding, obviously. But for real, thank you to the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick, for you guys' support over the years. Go check them out if you haven't already. They are a great podcast. They get more into deep dive stuff than we do. They like screenshots and predictions and Easter eggs, those kind of things, and more like news and leaks, things like that. Leaks on occasion. I've had to duck out in the middle of the past couple episodes because I'm like, I can't watch the leaks.
Yeah, we just talk about stuff.
Yeah,
that's all we really
just
do.
Talk about stuff. Talk about some of the filmmaking, and whatnot. But
artistry.
I think it's time to wind her down, though.
Yeah.
We've had a long one today, and I imagine next week will be a meaty one too.
Yeah.
It's fun talking about this. It's such a cool episode. I'm so excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
Excited about this show. But we'll see you guys next week out on the Dune Sea. Actually, out in the world between worlds. See you guys next time.